You know how when you go into the ocean and you are, say, waist deep in the ocean and you're standing there and it's beautiful and you start feeling safe and calm. And then all of a sudden a rip current comes and sweeps you off your feet, and that's the end of that adventure. That's where I feel like where we are at this point in this country, where we are just beginning to be swept off our feet by Donald Trump's authoritarian police state. I want to talk about that to you today, both the legal point of view and what the political point of view is. And so let's get to it. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe. Today, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem was giving a press conference in LA about the essentially weaponization of the federal forces of National Guard and 700 Marines and ICE raids and ICE agents, was giving a press conference or a briefing, and Senator Padilla, who is the senior senator from the state of California representing California in the US Senate, so he is the highest ranking federal official, elected official in California, walked into the room, identified himself as Senator Padilla, and then went forward to ask a question. What was the result of that? As Noem was standing there, her goons, her whatever security guards, whoever, their DHS agents, manhandled, shoved, and pushed Senator Padilla, who had announced himself when he came in and then started asking the question, and manhandled him out of the room, assaulted him by restricting him, then pinning him down on the floor, and then putting him in handcuffs. Maybe not putting, I don't think they put him in handcuffs, but they definitely detained him. And that is where we are right now. Not only has Donald Trump's DHS arrested Ras Baraka, the mayor of New York, and then, by the way, dismissed that charge that he was being charged with, has criminally charged Representative McIver from New Jersey, because she went in to conduct her oversight duties in the Newark ICE detention facility. And now when the senior most federally elected official representing the state of California in our country's Senate goes to ask a question to the Secretary of Homeland Security performing his oversight duties, he is assaulted, manhandled out of the room, and then detained. That is where the police state is. All the while, in the legal courts, by the way, speaking about the political part of it, Congressman Keating of Massachusetts wrote on Blue Sky saying, "We know why Kristi Noem is stonewalling us. Her department is making sloppy mistakes with no regard for the Constitution. And she's afraid of being held accountable for the harm she has caused to communities throughout our nation." And that's exactly what it is. They are making mistakes as they go. This would not, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they deported millions of people. Barack Obama deported a lot more than you would think he has. But he did it through the right way. He gave them due process of law. The procedure now being followed because of Donald Trump's executive order, not just the proclamation of the National Guard, but also his April 28th police state orders. Please go and read them. I'll leave references in the description box. Those executive orders are now being put into action to see how far Donald Trump can go with his police state. He's starting with what he calls sanctuary jurisdictions in the going after criminal aliens executive order. He's also talked about indemnifying and immunizing law enforcement, local law enforcement and state law enforcement that would aid ICE in conducting these illegal detentions, illegal removals, because they are illegal searches and seizures if they don't have probable cause and a warrant. If they don't Mirandize, they are not giving them due process of law. If there's no notice of them being deported, there is no due process of law. If you're just picking people up off of the streets, you don't have probable cause, you don't have any sort of governmental right to arrest and detain these people. You're basically defying the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendments by holding them in dire, unsanitary places, facilities that don't have proper food, that are not properly cleaned, and we don't know who these people are that are being disappeared. We don't know where they are going exactly. We don't know if they're definitely not being given their right to their attorney, not until you push and shove. So we are in this police state. So California sues the U.S. government, and the district court says that Donald Trump must hand over National Guard authority back to the governor of California. Well, Donald Trump has said that he's never going to listen to lower court decisions. So Donald Trump immediately appeals that. The appellate court goes ahead and puts a stay on the lower court's order to remove National Guard troops or put National Guard troops back under the authority of the governor of California, and stays that order until hearing on June 17th. So in a few days, yes, but think about the urgency of this situation. Every single day, Donald Trump is allowed to keep National Guard troops and Marines in the city of Los Angeles. Not only is it costing taxpayer millions of dollars, it is also provoking people, inciting people, terrorizing and traumatizing communities and tearing them apart. And that is the impact that Donald Trump wants to have. You know, LA may be ground zero now, but LA is not the final destination. We have already seen raids happening in Dallas and Omaha and Chicago and New York and other places, even in small cities and towns, where your right to protest may be heavily curbed in a state like Texas, where Texas governor has called in the National Guard. So if you are in a sanctuary jurisdiction or city, then there's really nothing you can do, the government, those local jurisdictions, to overrule the governor's order. So that's where protest becomes important. But then again, it's a very dangerous situation, because if you're going out there to protest, you have to go in large numbers. You have to be condensed in in an area, you have to remain peaceful. That is the most important thing, because we have the constitutional protection of peaceful assembly. We do not have the constitutional protection of burning cars and graffiti and whatever, spitting, whatever, any sort of aggression. We don't have a constitutional right to that. But peaceful protest, peaceful organized protest, we completely have that right. So on Saturday, there's going to be the No King's Day parades and protests and marches all across the country. And we're going to see that protest prolong into Saturday. Prolong into Sunday and Monday and keep going as these cities start getting commandeered by Donald Trump's police state. Because if you think California is where they're going to be limited, you are not paying attention. You are in that oblivion of bliss, standing in the ocean waist deep, having no idea that there's a rip current about to sweep you off your feet. So, why did the Ninth Circuit stay? They could have affirmed, because Donald Trump is going to appeal it to the Supreme Court anyway. He's not going to listen to whatever the Ninth Circuit has to say. And if the Ninth Circuit rules against California, California will take it to the Supreme Court. This is not a case that you hold on and put a stay on, because every day costs the taxpayer money and every day traumatizes communities in Los Angeles permanently. With that said, keep your eye on this police state. And I again reassert and tell you, go and read those two police state executive orders from April 28th. You will learn a lot more, because you will be able to identify what Donald Trump is doing. Los Angeles is a test case. Court there said you don't have that right, Donald, to unilaterally call up the National Guard. Give the governor back authority. Ninth Circuit puts a stay on it because it's the weekend. What's a weekend in a situation like this? Seriously. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. It's important for YouTube. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.